What's good, y'all? To stay in this true fashion to being a man of my word, I mentioned in the last episode that certain details and descriptions of my past and what led me to this point in my life need to be made evident. Kind of subconsciously, I knew that, but reiterating it or reiterated by my friend Sam Bones this morning really calls it into needs to be made evident. So here I am. I try not to be over wordy. I try to think of myself as a wordsmith, somebody that's overly indulged in a few John Grisham novels and paid attention to the English language maybe a little more than most, but those that understand the depth, the breadth of semantics and the English language that we choose and use to communicate here in this country and throughout the world can be complicated and intricate, and the depth is beyond. Really, it's infinite. So with that being said, I'm going to take my boots off. Man, this might be like a 30-minute long video just so I really hit all the high notes, low notes, and everything that's going on and leading up to where I'm at today. For those of y'all that have watched the videos that have up to this point, I appreciate y'all, man. I love y'all, man. I'm coming to learn that it really ain't about me. Who the hell am I? I'm nothing but a speck of dust, a grain of sand in the grand scheme of things. And this isn't nothing new. I'm not the first person to go on a nomadic adventure and rage against our society and addiction and internal struggle and external struggles and relationships and the whole hoorah, man. I ain't nobody new. As Solomon said in Ecclesiastes, there is nothing new under the sun. This has all been done before, and it'll be done again. I'm just doing my part, man, to just do my part, So with that being said, let's get into, excuse me, you may not see my face here for a minute, but I got to get these boots off and let these old feet dry out, because these old black boots, they're like little heaters, they're little ovens, and you got to take care of your feet out here on the road, the most important thing, really, besides staying hydrated. And you may hear the traffic in the background. Well, that's the old highway, the against the grain, the way I came thing in the back, it just kind of lulls me to sleep sometimes, because it just is what it is. Get the boots off and get them put up in a safe place, keep the ticks and chiggers and all that hoorah out of there. I ain't gonna lie to y'all, man, I got my good word and my herbal supplements. These are marijuanicus, escrupius, whatever. I'm trying to sound intelligent, but it ain't all that, whatever. Tetrahydrochloride, I believe that's what the THC stands for. It's extremely beneficial, especially for a man in my position who has been strung out on a man-made substance for the last 5 months or so. Today's day 6. God, thank God. By God's grace, I'm the fog is lifting and things are starting to come into picture. I'm gonna get in here before I lose y'all's attention. And so I'll just say this, man. I come from very humble beginnings. I was born to a couple heroin addicts, drug addicts. My dad and mom were part of the Aryan Brotherhood in Phoenix, Arizona. To the best of my knowledge, this is my understanding of it, they were trafficking drugs from the Mexican border down to the southeast corner of our country, which my mom's from Mississippi. The Ashmores and the Whites, that's kind of where I derive from on that side of my family. My dad comes from Wisconsin. Don't know that much about that side of the family other than my Aunt Sherry, Aunt Patty, Brian, and Bill. I kind of know them, but I don't know them. They were never there for Christmas or any of that hoorah. My grandparents on that side, I knew them. I met them one time in Phoenix, my sister and I, when I was like 4. It's safe to say broken home would be probably an understatement. My mom and dad divorced when I was like 4-ish. I remember being in the courtroom as they sitting in the hearing when it happened. 1 second. My sister and I both, I tell this story as much for me as it is for her, because she was there to it and through it probably even more than I was because of my adoption. I came here to Kansas. That's a whole nother story. We'll get to that point. My mom went to prison when I was like 5, and my dad took sole custody of my sister and I. He remarried a woman named Stacy. She had 3 kids of her own. And all 5 of us, and eventual 6 of us, I have a stepsister out there named Marlena, who I have not talked to since the day I left when I was like 8 years old. We all lived in this 2-bedroom house right there in Mesa, Arizona, to be exact, Phoenix area. And we were a dysfunctional Brady Bunch, call it what you will. My dad took the liberty of taking advantage of some of us children. It was like 13 charges he eventually had raised against him of child molestation. And unfortunately, I was one of his victims. Scarred me, say the least, gave me a reasoning to later on in life continue on in my drug ways, my way of numbing the pain and the disrespect, the disregard, the abandonment, call it what you will. My sister and I still struggle with it to this day, man. Ain't no doubt that it's been a challenge. It's been to feel displaced in a world where I think we all seek placement and guidance and a reason for living. And I believe a father is a key role in that, so that we all have footsteps to follow in. Never had much of that until later on I come to know Christ, but being Christ is totally different than knowing Christ. So that's another story for further on down the road. After my dad went to prison, my mother was already in prison. My sister and I were shipped to Mississippi from Mesa, and we lived with my grandma in a very humble house. Not very poor, poor enough, very poor. We were poor. Hand-me-downs, and only by the grace of God and through my Aunt Susan, who was my mother's half-sister. I love you, Susie Q. What's up, girl? Old Faithful, that's her new nickname. Old Faithful, love you, girl. She's there every morning with a scripture reading. Every morning. No doubt, rain, sleet, snow, doesn't matter if her hip's falling off. That lady's going to send me a frickin' meditation for the day. And even give some analysis if it comes down to it, if I ask for it. But anyway, so a couple years out there, my mom got out of prison. Nothing like southern teachings in the elementary school that I went to. Yes ma'am, yes sir was switched and whipped into my ass. Grandma was not scared to tell me to go get a switch off the bush, and was not afraid to use it on my old fucking ass. But it was good for me. And Bertha, I love you. Rest in peace, girlfriend. Been several years since she passed away. 98 actually. So mom got out of prison and decided to take upon herself to be a mother again to the best of her ability. Lord rest her soul. She was married to a heroin addict while she was incarcerated, and he decided he was going to fulfill a stepfatherly role, and God bless him, he did the best he could under the circumstances. Of course, that relationship didn't last very long, about a year or so, and my mother and him split up. Last time I seen Chuck, who was the stepdad, who was her ex-husband, her then husband, Chuck Kennedy, who became one of my mother's many aliases, Kennedy, Johnson, White, Ashmore, Lisa, Melissa. That's for another topic too. My mother met a dude named Elmer, who eventually became my adopted father. Well, he took custody of me later on after my mother decided to part ways after refusing a marriage proposal. My mother and sister took off back to Mississippi, and I stayed under Elmer's wing. And I'm 12 years old, just turned 13 as a matter of fact by then. And he met a woman named Deanne Eagle here in Kansas, in southeast Kansas actually, living in Buffalo, a little small town, 200 people. I went from the big city of graduating class of over 2,000 to Podunk, Buffalo, Kansas, Altoona Midway School District, graduating class of like 22. Something like that. Needless to say, it was a culture shock. I was city street thug, Bone Thugs and Harmony, Hadn't even been introduced to my dude Haystack yet. Easy E and all that West Coast rap stuff was big in my mentality then. And I come back to meet Bobby and Dave and Josh and Jack Eagle and their David Allen Coe and Charlie's Daniel Band, Shit Kickers and Wranglers and Rebel Flags and all that. The difference couldn't have been any more extreme than what it was. I was pants sagging, thugged out, hat backwards, come to Podunk, Buffalo, into all that. But I grew to love it. I grew to love that country life, man. I grew to love Prism Glen and all the Eagles and Chris Goodwin and Matthew Drake, kind of, but Jared Scott and Grant LaForge and Matthew Gann and all them country boys that play a part in the country boy that is within me. As Dave later come to David Eagles, my older adopted step half brother, call it what you will, labeled me a thug neck. I was half thug and half redneck, and so thug neck was the term that was given to me 20 years ago or so. And I don't consider it a title or whatever, but it's a fitting description. So after that summer between my freshman and sophomore years of high school, my brother Bobby and I, Bobby, shout out to you. Ain't talked to you in a while, brother. I love you, man, and hopefully we catch up sometime. We caught 6 minor possessions of alcohol, consumptions of alcohol one summer, and Deanna and Elmer decided it was time for me to vacate the family, and I was sent back to Mississippi. Culture shock again, went from country boy lifestyle back to, if anybody's from the South and you know the South, it's culturally divided, diverse, and let's say that the black man is more preeminent than the white man. Maybe not by laws and rules, but in Clarkston, Mississippi, I believe it's like 8-1 blacks to whites. Not naming that specifically in racism terms, just letting you know what it is. My family on my mother's side tried to ingrain the racism in me, tried to put that in me, but for whatever reason, the good Lord wouldn't see fit for me to adhere to that. Tremaine Grace, certain people that I met through elementary school and stuff, they were just as human as I was, so who am I to judge or put a divide or whatever in it? And all that stems from hate and bigotry and the devil trying to cause separation. As Martin Luther King said in his I Have a Dream speech, he says, you can't fight fire with fire. It only spreads more fire. Only the water can overcome the fire. And you can't spread hate with hate. It only spreads more hate, man. Only love overcomes the hate. I try to practice that in my life from day to day, regardless of who you are, whether you hate me, like me, indifferent, whatever. So that's another little connotation to life in the South. And that's why I'm a true diehard CWB for life. Haystack Macmillan is the dude, my brother in Christ, my brother in the streets, my brother of my past, my brother of now and of the future. Haystack is the shit. There's no better rapper, lyricist, musical artist, hands down, ever grace the face of this earth. Haystack is the shit. CWB until I die. And if you don't know, you don't know. Hey, I ain't mad at you, but I know. So as a white boy growing up in a culturally diverse South, trying to find out who I was and me, that's why I relate to Stack so much, is he's somebody that overcame the bigotry and the hate and brought hip hop, rap, and the culture of it together. Even though the culture of it tried to push him out and outcast him. So he overcame it. And stayed true to himself, and he knows who he is, and I try to follow that motto in my own life. So with that being said, so as you can see, the story's developing into the breadth and the diversity of not being raised in one single small town or in one single spot my whole entire life. I've had a well-rounded grasp and experience of life. I've met millions of people. I would say millions. I've met thousands of people. Lots of faces, lots of places, lots of personalities, lots of religions, cultures, whether it be Native American to blacks to whites to whoever you are, the unique individuals that I've met, and then the cultures as a whole. I've got a pretty well-rounded understanding of it. Not a saint or a what do you call it? Have a doctorate in it by any means, but I definitely got a good grasp of it. So with that being said, so I've got all this in my head as I go on through life, as I'm absorbing all this information. And so who am I in all of this? I still search for that. And then the hurts and the wounds and the struggles of a child born into such a flood and avalanche of information of what is this and what am I supposed to do with it all. It's kind of made me who I am and where I am today, and I've come to use substances, no matter what they are, fentanyl, hydrocodone, methamphetamine, cocaine, whether in crack form, powder form. Alcohol was my first one. Marijuana was my first love. Cigarettes, you name it, man. I done it. I loved it, and I hated it, and I love it, and I hate it, and I let go of it, and I pick it back up, and it's what's familiar to me. So I've got to acknowledge the relationship issues that I've had with Mike Ramey, with Tara Bliss, Tara Lazarus, and with my, I don't know, one day wife, April Luther, and those are just the feminine relationships that I hold dear to my heart, and I still don't know how they're going to play out. But I see where my personality and the lack of guidance and development has kind of played a detriment in these relationships, along with many others. Like I said, with my adopted brothers, with my own sister, flesh and blood, my cousin Jonathan, many friends, Prism Glenn and Bobby. Hey, Josh Cook, R.I.P. James Osmond, R.I.P. I love y'all to death, man. They died in the struggle, and they should not be dead. I should be dead before them, because I'm retarded and I'm stupid, and you can learn a lot from this old dummy, for real talk. So I love y'all, man. Just send a little shout out to them. April, those that are familiar, you know what I'm talking about. But those are brothers that died in the struggle of addiction, alcoholism, and fell victim to circumstance. Along with Stephen Browning and Tom and Jack Eagle, it goes on and on. People that have come and gone on this earth, and I'm in a total amazement that I'm not gone with them. They should have been dead a long time ago. Well, actually, I have died. I killed myself. Okay. I want to get to my marriage and my son Axton, because that's who I really hold dearest to my heart, and I really hope that this has the most impact on of me telling this story is my son. Because I do love him and I miss him, and I have failed as a father. And this is some way of, I hope, maybe just trying to make up for that. I hope. Just in the understanding of me and helping you guys understand who I am and what this wandering nomad is leading up to, culminating to. Give me just 1 second, please. Thank you, Lord Jesus, for medicinal purposes of marijuana. Medicinal purposes. As the truck goes by, I was going to show y'all my camp real quick. It's like a daily thing. I make this little camp up. I will stop off the side of that old highway over there, find me a plot of trees. I don't care who it is, where it is, whose it is, whatever. You lay claim to it. I put my stuff up. There's my old walking stick. I just developed it here yesterday. Another one, like my fourth one. The Subway and the coffee cup is just me not throwing my trash on the ground, because I'm not perfect, but I try not to just litter, respect what God has given us to the best of my, ability. So this is where I'm at right now. Just kind of showing you where I'm at. And I do have to duly note one more time, this is day 6 without fentanyl, day 6 without dope. The only medicinal things that I've had is marijuana and some kratom, which is another all-natural herb, substance, call it what you will, to just kind of take the edge off. Okay, with that being said, get back to the point. I ran from Mike in a relationship, and then I later got married to Tara. Good girl, good old country girl that I hold no fault against her in our marriage. She was perfect, dude. Like, I couldn't ask for what I had going on in life. A beautiful thing. Our son was, Axton, you were not no mistake, son. You were very, very intentional. I promise you. And though your mother and I aren't together today, nothing will ever take that away from what we were at one time, and it'll always be forever. I don't care. Even when this old bag of bones is thrown off in that ditch over there, please do that, because I don't want y'all to pay for no funeral. Fuck that. Nah. I'll probably crawl off somewhere and just die before any of that bullshit goes on. But anyways, Bo, I love you, man, and just know that this story, hopefully it makes some sense. But yeah, 6-year marriage, almost a 5-year marriage, 6-year relationship with Tara. Had a good thing going. We had a nice home, nice vehicle, had nice toys. We were headed somewhere in life. But Chris was strung out on opiates. Imagine that. Like, to the point where I was breaking into people's houses at 2 a.m. just to go check their medicine cabinet while they were asleep in their own bed. Could have had my ass knocked off, my head blown off at any point in time. But my addictions are so strong. I have to have that so much. That's the level of insanity that I'm willing to go to. Crazy. And for those of you that don't know, in the streets I was crazy too. April will tell you some stories if she was willing to open up. And Josh and Jane, they know how crazy I was. I was just, I get to a point where I got to have what I got to have, and I'm willing to go to any length. And I can go quote some AA, NA stuff with that. But go to any length to get things done. But at the same time, I knew within myself that I was wrong. What I was doing was wrong. I knew what I was doing was wrong, but I wasn't under control. I wasn't in control. My addiction was. And it's been a reoccurring faction throughout my life. My addiction comes back in. Oh, and it changes you. It makes you selfish, self-centered. It makes you think about yourself before anything else. Yeah, you might have intentions of trying to, make certain relationships work, or let people, gloss things over with the whole, oh, I'm doing just fine. No, I'm not. And then let me try to help you at the same time when I can't even help myself. So that's crazy, man. The insanity of our addictions. What a powerful thing this devil has when he can put a foothold in your life and rob you of everything. The love, man. The love that I had in my marriage. That woman would have done anything for me. That girl would have died for me. Tara would have died for me. She would have bent over backwards to try to show me her love. And it wasn't that I refused it. It was that I wasn't in control. Tara, I hope you're listening to this. Because a sober me and the people that have known me while I was totally sober, heartfelt, just dedicated to Christ, which is a whole nother topic. God's apart from him, we can do nothing. I'm thoroughly convinced. Y'all have to forgive the sporadic nature of this video, because I know it's bits and pieces, but I think that it makes sense in the long run. Let's get to my legal issues. I'm a 7-time felon. Let's just say that I've had my run-in with the law, and I've done my stupid shit, knowing that it was wrong while I was doing it. But I can promise you this, that every single crime or against humanity, a law, whatever, that I've ever done was strictly fueled by this powerful addiction. This part of me that wants that, as the big book of Alcoholics Anonymous calls it, it's an allergy. Once I start scratching that sumbitch, it won't stop itching, and it's going to itch and itch and itch until I either jails, institutions, death, or by the grace of God in this instance, I've just gone for a long ass walk. Took a long ass walk out of Wichita. Then thank God I don't have to be in jail or be in rehab or whatever. This is just kind of a personal journey way of soul searching and finding that digging deep inside of me, like Stack says. He says dig deep inside of me and find a better me than I know that I can be. It's just shedding the bullshit that weighs us down. And so I guess getting back to the wandering nomad, and I I'm not a saint, man. I've been a liar, a thief, a convicted felon. I've been a backstabber, a failed brother, a failed husband, a failed father. I've scraped the bottom of the barrel and then got underneath that son of a bitch looking for more. Tipped it over and then got under there scraping around. Been there, bub. Like, I've gone 7 days without a bath. I've hiked from here, there, and everywhere. I've worked for the carnival. You could call me a carny. As far as jobs are concerned, I have worked in my life. I've paid my fair share of national or federal, state, county, and local, and freaking property tax and sales tax in my life. I attest to you I have. I've worked at cabinet factories, independent contractor, as an electrician, a plumber. I was just at Case New Holland making great money, man, as an inspector. $27 an hour. What the hell? Whoever thought a guy like me could make money like that? I've had great jobs. I know I've done floor work with my Uncle Nook when I was a kid. I've supported 2 separate families. Shout out to Kirsty and Danny Ray back here in Mississippi. Love you guys, man. That's a whole nother story. Another abandoned ship that I did here recently over the last couple of years. But yeah, man, so leading up to all of that, man, I come back to Wichita to be close to my son. Started with nothing, the bold wandering nomad, back on a rucksack on his back, showed up to Wichita. One thing led to another, sober living home, got a good job thanks to my good buddy and superhero, Johnny B. Good. The guy is a superhero, y'all, raising 8 kids. Insanity. Anyways, Jonathan Cummings, man, love you, brother, man. Without him, I wouldn't have had that job. But anyways, I tricked it off, making good money, tricked it off. Got strung out on fentanyl dope again. And so that led up to me quitting the job, packing my things, and taking what little bit I had and getting on down that there road headed that way. West from Wichita, with full intentions of going to Colorado. Why Colorado? I don't know. The Rocky Mountains sound good. Marijuana's legal in Colorado. Maybe Denver area would be a great place to settle down. I don't know, but turns out I had to turn that thing around due to spiritual reasonings and the fact that it's fucking hot out here. The sun was roasting my ass. The tips of my earlobes were burnt off, and my nose was fine. The bugs, the poison ivy, the lack of funding, and just tired. Kicking fentanyl, man. By day 3 of that, I was like, oh, Lord, what am I doing? I'm turning it around and going back to where I know some people love me and care about me, and being around what I was overlooking while I was there, caught up in my own BS. Shout out to Steve-O and Howie and those that have kind of stuck by me on this little walk that are local. Of course, Micah. The other question mark of my life, I don't, is you or April? What is it? I don't know. Y'all let me know. Hell, one or the other. Or we could be, what they call that, polygamists. We could join the Mormon church and just get frickin' all of us get married and shit. And Tara, hell, you can throw you in too. Hell, have me 3 wives. Hell, and actually come on, have 3 moms and shit. That sounds great to me. But anyways,